if you would just look at Rachel, only one to look at, none. We're rolling.
All right. If you just want to start by saying like my name is and then your role here.
Okay. My name is Caitlin Saxton. I am the Research and Husbandry Coordinator at Piedmont Wildlife Center.
All right.
And let me just suggest one thing. If you could speak a little bit more slowly,
Okay.
because people are watching on TV, they're or streaming it. They're sometimes distracted doing other things, so no need to rush through it. Your name is important, so we definitely want to hear it. But it goes for the whole interview. Just just speak in a kind of normal, conversational kind of way.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Let's do one more time.
Yeah, all right.
Or you can say, hang
Okay.
on one second.
All right. Let's take it again one more time.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Caitlin Saxton. I'm the Research and Husbandry Coordinator at Piedmont Wildlife Center.
All right. And I guess just starting with like pretty basic question of why you got into working with turtles and like why should we care about turtles and why do you care about turtles?
So the eastern box turtle is actually North Carolina's state reptile, and they're in decline due to a number of reasons, such as habitat loss and fragmentation, and also road mortality. I'm sure we've all seen a turtle crossing the road, and sometimes they make it across, and sometimes they don't. And they're just really charismatic little creatures. If you've ever spent time with them, especially the ones we have at our center, they all have their own little personalities, and they're just really cool, beautiful little animals.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And Rachel, just wait like 2 seconds after she's done, because sometimes
Okay.
somebody will come up with one more sentence and might be the sentence you really want.
Okay.
To be,
I know it's difficult.
yeah, thank you.
Okay. So back to the eastern box turtles. So what makes them different from other turtles?
They're called box turtles because they have a hinge on the bottom and they can completely close up in their shell when they feel like they need to, like if they're threatened or something. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, is that like is there just defining characteristics that make box turtles just special compared to other turtles?
Yeah, I would say
Says
the boxing, the closing up, the hinge.
Okay.
And one more suggestion. The question that Rachel asked may not be on the air, so when you start by saying they, the listener, the viewer won't know what you're talking about. So just assume that what you're saying is standing on its own, not necessarily following a question from Rachel. And after Rachel asks her question, just wait a second as well so your two voices don't overlap.
Okay.
That's a lot to think about, but just trying to make sure that all the good things you say we can use. Thanks.
Are those two like questions that I've done like should I re-ask those or?
Yeah, but in a different way, maybe. Just,
Okay. All right. I just will move forward a little bit and then circle back a bit. But for the box turtles themselves, between them, we know that females and males have different characteristics. What are some ways that someone just walking around could figure out which is which?
So one of the first most obvious ways when you look at a box turtle is the coloration. Males are going to tend to be brighter, so they might be like orange or red, whereas females are going to be duller colors like brown, maybe like a dull yellow. But that's not, and then the male's eyes are usually going to be a bright red, bright orange, and then the females are going to have brown or darker eyes. But that's not always, 100% true. Like we have a female in there, Shelly, and she has reddish eyes, but she's definitely a female. So coloration is one, and then if you look at them, if you were to like hold the turtle and flip it up like that, you'll see that on males they have like a small indentation where you can put your thumb, and females the bottom's called the plastron, is going to be flat. Another way is the scutes. So those are the kind of the rim of the shell. On males, those are going to be more flared, and on females, they're not going to be as flared. And let's see, another way is the shape of the top of the shell is called the carapace, the lower part is called the plastron. And on a male, the carapace is going to be flatter, and then on a female, the carapace is usually like more dome shaped. And one more way is the tail. Males tend to have.
We're gonna have to stop.
Oh.
We're hearing the airplane above us.
Okay.
We're rolling.
All right. So back to male versus female. Just what are some of the defining characteristics that differentiate the male box turtles, the female box turtles?
I think the most obvious thing when you look at a turtle is the coloration. Males are going to tend to be more brightly colored, so they'll be like, you'll see bright red, bright orange colors on them. on like their face and on their legs. And then females tend to be a lot duller in color, so they'll be like brown or maybe like a dull yellow kind of color. Both like on the head and on the legs, and also in the eyes, the males will tend to have like orange or red eyes, and then females will tend to have darker color like brown eyes. But that's not always true necessarily. Like one of our turtles that we have is definitely female, but she has like orange reddish eyes. Another way you can tell is if you were to flip the turtle onto its, if you were to flip it up and look at its stomach, which is called the plastron, on a male there's going to be an indentation where you could put your thumb, and then a female it's going to be flat. Another way is the marginal scoot. So those are the kind of the border of the turtle shell. On a male, those are going to be more flared than on a female. Another way is the shape of the turtle's carapace, which is the top part of the turtle shell. On a male, that's going to be a lot flatter usually, and then females are going to be more dome shaped. Another way you can tell is the tail. So males are usually going to have longer tails, and the vent is going to be below the carapace, whereas on a female, the tail will be shorter and the vent will be above the carapace. And then one more way is the claws. The back claws on a male turtle tend to be longer and more curved than females who are shorter and less curved. That's it.
I think somebody wants to come through the door. Do you need to come through the door? Okay.
You're good.
Come on.
Yes.
Stand by, please. We're rolling.
Okay. Guess that kind of sums up getting to know what the turtles look like and everything. So, with the Turtle Trekkers program, can you just tell us a little bit about how that got started at Piedmont Wildlife Center?
So that's one thing that, I'm sorry, I don't know if we're recording this, but I have not been here that long, so it started way before me, so that might be a better question for Sarah. I think it was started around like 2014, 2015, but like as far as like the history of when it was started, I wasn't here, so I'm not really
Okay, no, that's
totally
fine.
sure. I'm sorry.
You're good. Okay, so I guess we can move a little bit forward from that. How has the Turtle Trek program been working around in the Piedmont Wildlife Center? If you just want to sort of describe the program and how you've worked with it personally.
So the Turtle Trekkers program is our citizen science project, and it's where anybody who sees a box turtle just sends us in a clear picture of it, and then we use those pictures. I take the picture, or once you submit the picture, I will put I'll put them in a folder, and then I will look at all the pictures and determine, kind of sort them into like these are all pictures of the same turtle, and then we will give those photos to someone who we're working with to develop an AI tool, and the AI tool will basically look at two pictures and determine are these the same turtle or are they different photos of different turtles. Yeah.
And is that to work on population monitoring? Okay.
Yeah. So to determine like if we looked at a bunch of turtles, but we didn't know if they were the same turtle, we might assume that there's more turtles or less turtles than there actually are if we weren't able to distinguish how many actual individual turtles there are.
Okay. Yeah. And
If that makes sense.
Kayla, we're really moving on, man. It's like you're on a Titanic. Just kind of lean one way or the other. That'd be great. For a little bit, each question, then you can move on.
I do know
Thanks.
whoever wants
Sorry.
to take a picture and contribute. So
I'm
it's
following you.
just
Let's
cool.
Anyway.
distract.
I'll ask her.
We're still rolling.
For the Turtle Trekker pictures, all the citizen data science that you're getting in, is that an area in the triangle, or can you just like explain how far the data reaches and like where this turtle population that we're talking about is from?
Yeah, so it's mainly in the triangle, but I mean anyone who wants to participate in it is called Triangle Turtle Trekkers. So for the most part, we are looking at turtles in the triangle, but I think that's mainly because we're like more of a local organization. But I mean anybody who sees a box turtle in North Carolina can send it in for us.
All right. Think.
Are you done?
No, I was just wondering if you had something to add.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
With the Turtle Trek program, rather, at the center where you take the people on the trips that they pay for, is that related to, this is just a question for you real quick, is that related to the Turtle Trekkers program?
So not really. We call them both Turtle Trek, which I know is a little confusing, but like the Turtle Trekker Citizen Science Project is the thing where people take the pictures, out in the public. The Turtle Trek that we do here is the telemetry thing where people learn how we do our telemetry here at the, we should probably come up with a different name for it. It's kind of confusing.
Okay, so what about the,
Ask that question again if you would, please.
okay, What's the difference between your Turtle Trekkers program and the Turtle Treks here?
So Triangle Turtle Trekkers, that's the citizen science project where anybody who finds a turtle sends us a picture of it. The turtle treks that we offer at Piedmont Wildlife Center at Lee Farm Park are the ones where we show people how we do our radio telemetry, and then also tell them about turtles while we're walking through the woods.
Okay, so I know we're going to go on one later tomorrow, I believe, but could you just walk us through a little bit of like the turtle track and just personal experiences you've had with it, how you feel about it, and operating with it?
So we have a long-standing radio telemetry project here with some box turtles. There's 6 of them right now are equipped with a transmitter, and so every week we go and find the turtles and we record, where they are, what the weather is, anything of note. And so the turtle trek that we offer to the public is where people can go with us and learn how we track the turtles and learn how to do the radio telemetry. Like they actually get to hold the thing and find the turtles themselves and stuff like that.
I think we're also I know that Sarah Steffen's study also worked with radio telemetry, but could you just explain how that works kind of with tracking the turtles here?
So we'll see it when we go find a turtle, but all the turtles are equipped with these little transmitters. It kind of looks like a little black ball with an antenna on it, and it's put on their shell, and we have a receiver and an antenna, and the transmitter will send out a signal, and then the antenna will pick up the signal, and then the receiver will convert the signal into a beep, and then we just follow the beep until we find the turtle.
Okay. Honestly, I'm excited to go on with that. But I think I'm over most of the topics that we wanted to get through, but I think just one more time, just 'cause I feel like it's a good thing for people to want to hear, but why should we all care about eastern box turtles, and why should they stay here, and why should we care about their population?
I think it's kind of the same as why should we care about any kind of wildlife, because wild animals have just as much a right to exist as anything else. And I think that if we don't do something, if we don't care about things now, then one day they might not be around for us to enjoy anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess it's all everything plays a part in the ecosystem, so.
Yeah. I think Professor Linden had a pretty good question. Why do you love turtles? Because I'd love to hear that.
I love turtles because they all have unique little personalities. I didn't really know much about turtles, or I don't think I'd ever even met a box turtle before starting here. But then I met them all, our ambassadors and the turtles. We see out there, and they're just, I don't know, they all have their own unique little personalities. Like all of our turtles, I could tell you different things about them and things that they like and don't like, and what they like to do. And I just think they're also really beautiful. I think so part of my job is when people send in the pictures of the box turtles, my job is to sort the photos, and I get to look at all these different turtles, and it's just kind of really cool to see all the variation and the colors and the patterns. It's just like a little mosaic on each turtle shell.
I agree. They're really beautiful.
You have any question for
Yeah.
why don't you tell Rachel?
So I think if you said something really good about how everything plays a part in the ecosystem, if maybe you could just dive a little bit more into that and kind of explain what that means whenever it comes to box turtles and them being threatened due to these different threats, you said lack of habitat and urbanization and stuff. Maybe you could just explain just dive a little bit more into that idea of you care about turtles and we should care about them being threatened as a species because everything plays a part in the ecosystem, what that means. Just dive a little bit more into it.
And I would assume that people watching this really probably know very little about box turtles other than that they've seen them. So it's kind of a way to give them what you might give a 6th grader in a science lesson, an understanding and appreciation for the turtle. So that's the person you're talking to, we hope.
Okay.
So why don't you ask the question, get her a prompt.
Is it rolling?
Yes, and I continue to roll. I'll let you know if I stop.
So why should we as a whole care about turtles and their part in the ecosystem?
I don't really know what to say other than what I already said. What do you?
Just explain what is their role in the ecosystem? Why is that important? Yeah. Like, what would a world look like without turtles in it, in our ecosystem?
One of my coworkers always talks about how she loves turtles because they are a good indicator species because they, so like when something is wrong in the environment or in a habitat, you know, you might, you know, turtles might be a good indicator of of when something's going wrong. I guess that's one thing. Yeah, I mean, I think I think that just generally biodiversity is something that's good to have. And, you know, turtles are part of that biodiversity. They're, you know, eating bugs, they're eating seeds, they're moving around, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, sorry, I think Meg had something that she wanted to add that I didn't hear.
Still rolling.
Yeah, is there anything that you mentioned about the turtle ambassadors, I think?
Yeah, we have.
Okay, yeah, could you talk about just what are the turtle ambassadors, what do they do?
So we have 5 eastern box turtles that live with us permanently. There are like animal ambassadors, so they go to schools and, you know, other events to kind of let somebody meet a box turtle up close. And we talk about box turtles and what things that are interesting about them, and, you know, where you can find them and what's happening to them and why they're in decline, and encourage people to, I guess, just know what a box turtle is. I think that being able to see an animal like up close, you know, in person is just such an important thing to get someone to care about conserving something. It's hard to explain to someone why they should care about something if they've never seen it before. And so I think that being able to have the ambassadors and letting people see them, and then having people come on the turtle tracks and learn about that, just kind of like really helps people connect on a deeper level to conservation.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And if you would ask your question about coming to me, but I'm sure most people have seen a box turtle on the road. If you see a box turtle, what should you do?
Oh, that is a good one. I know we mostly see box turtles on the roads and driveways, so to everyone that's viewing this, if you see a box turtle on the road, what is the best plan of action? What should you do?
So you should not pick it up and take it home with you. You should just, you know, if you see it in the road.
Let's
Yeah.
start again, right? We're still going. Would you frame it with if you see a box turtle?
Okay.
Because we're not going to hear it. And anytime.
So if you ever see a box turtle trying to cross a road, if you want to help it, you could just pick it up, kind of like this, like like a hamburger is a good way to carry it, and then just put it on the other side of the road in the direction it was going, and leave it alone. That's it.
What should you not do when you see a turtle?
You should definitely not take the turtle
Okay,
home with
so
you.
start
Oh,
again.
oh. If you find a box turtle, you should definitely not pick it up and take it home with you, and you should not try to, you know, relocate it somewhere really far away, and you shouldn't pick it up and put it, you know, in the direction it came from. You should put it in the direction it was going.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
So what's our next plan with Caitlin?
We're
Is it-
still rolling. Do you want are we through?
Oh, I think
No,
we're going with
yeah,
the review.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Caitlin,
you.
stand
Oh,
right there,
okay.
please. I want to do your hands, the hamburger fat thing.
Like this?
Yeah, hold it right there,
Have
please.
her, show us now.
Take your hand away, and then put them right back where you had them. Go. Now,
Yeah.
give me one more.
And she
Oh,
said
okay.
Away and
Like this?
Yeah.
if you wanted better lighting,
Oh,
we
it's
can bring them
taller?
out here, which I think would be
That
great.
would be
Thank you.
great, yeah.
Cut. Rolling.
All right. How would you know that Sheldon is a male or a female?
So when we're looking at Sheldon, one of the first things you probably notice about him is he is very bright orange, very beautiful. This is pretty going to be more typical with males to have these bright orange, bright red colorations on their arms and their head. And then if you also look at his eyes, you can see that his eyes are red. And so that's also another way that you can usually tell a male from a female, but it's not always true. Sometimes, you know, there might be males and females that have colorations that might be more typical of the opposite sex. Another way we can tell that Sheldon is male is if we look at his plastron, which is this part of his shell. He has a little bit of an indentation where you can put your thumb, whereas on a female turtle, that would be pretty flat. Another way is if we look at his marginal scutes, which are the scutes that go around his shell. They're a little bit flared out, you can kind of see. That's another way. And then if we were to look at his tail, which he might show us, you can see that his tail's pretty long, and his vent, which is that opening right there, is below his shell, his carapace.
And so we're gonna ask you to do it again, exactly the same way. You used your right thumb to show the indentation. You use your left, I think, index finger to show the flare.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to do in the same order and, and basically the same description, the same
Okay.
level of detail. So but hold on a second until Bob gets his. And then since this is a very tight shot, it's really important that you not be rocking back and forth, that you hold steady, because otherwise it's going to be making people dizzy.
Okay.
We're still rolling. Anytime.
All right. So how can we tell that Sheldon is a male or a female?
So when we look at Sheldon, one of the first things we notice is that he's very brightly colored. He has a lot of orange and reddish colored skin, so that's pretty going to be more typical with males to have the bright coloration. They're going to be like bright red, bright orange, and if you look at his eyes, you can see that he has red eyes. But that's not like going to always be true. You might see a male or a female that kind of has different coloration, more typical of the other sex. But in general, males are going to be more brightly colored. Another way we can tell he's male is if we were to flip him up on this part of his shell, which is called the plastron. There's a little indentation where you can put your thumb, and a female that's going to be more flat. Another way we can tell is by the marginal scutes, which are the scutes that go around his shell. On a male, they're usually more flared, so you can kind of see. And then one more way is his tail, which on a male, the tail is going to be longer, and the vent, which is that opening right there, is going to be below the shell or the carapace.
Do you need
Okay. Yeah, do you
that
get
close up
everything?
a second time?
It's all good.
This is important stuff.
Yeah. Stand by, please. He's thinking this up. And anytime.
All right. If you could explain how we know that Sheldon is a male or a female.
So when we look at Sheldon, one of the first things you notice is his bright coloration. He's very orange, and typically males are going to be the more brightly colored ones. You'll be bright red or bright orange on their arms and their neck and their face. And then he also has bright red eyes, which is another common characteristic in males, but it's not always, completely true for males or females. You might see a male or female that's, a little not as brightly colored or, has coloration characteristics of the opposite sex. Another way we can tell that Sheldon is a male is if we were to lift him up and look at the bottom of his shell, which is called the plastron. There's a little indentation where you can put your thumb, and on a female that would be more flat. Another way we can tell he's male is if we look at his marginal scutes, which are the scutes that go around the shell. On him, they're a little bit more flared, whereas on
Keep it down low.
whereas on a female, they're not.
Stop.
Oh.
Stand by. Start again.
About
Wait, start again
the
at what
shell
point?
again.
Okay. So another way we can tell he's male is if we were to look at his marginal scutes, which are the scutes that run around the shell. They're a little bit more flared on him than they would be on a female. Another way we can tell he's male is if we look at his tail, it is longer, and the vent, which is this opening right here, it's below the shell. Oh, and one more way we can tell he's male is the overall shape of his shell. It's a lot flatter, whereas on a female, it's going to be a bit more dome-shaped.
And Bob, I'm wondering, would you want a super close-up of maybe
Hold it up. Let's see the tail, and we'll shoot the tail.
the flare and the thumb in the indentation?
Yeah.
I mean, a couple
If
of
we
those
could just,
super
like,
close-up.
Hold it steady for a good
There you go.
couple seconds,
Yeah.
showing the
Yeah.
flare and all that stuff.
Yeah, hold that really. And I think, were you pointing to the tail with your...
Oh yeah, I was just kind of pointing to the
with your
vent.
right
Yeah.
thumb there? I think.
Did you do it with your right thumb?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think so.
Probably.
Go ahead and point to it.
Okay.
Go ahead and point. You could touch it.
Okay.
Good. Okay. And what about, let me see the shell, yeah.
Oh, like
See
this?
the thumb.
Yeah,
Okay.
but take your thumb away and, in other
Yeah.
words, we want to see the motion of
Okay.
going into it.
Lower
So-
it down just a teeny bit. Whoa, whoa, there you go. And anytime. And take it away. Good. Let me see the shell on this. When you held it up, yeah, there we go.
Like that?
Lower it down just a teeny bit.
And then you use your left hand to...
Oh yeah, to
raise
kind of
down.
go like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have a question. Why is he's kind of hyperextending his neck? Is that to look at you, or what?
I don't know, it's just,
He's like going...
he's just doing it. Yeah, probably just see what's going on. He's probably like a little unhappy that I dragged him out here to do.
Okay.
Does he know you? I mean, when you're holding...
Rolling.
All right, if you just want to tell us a little bit about Shelly.
Yeah, sure. So this is Shelly. She's an eastern box turtle. She is our...
Let's start again. Yeah, sure. And just this, just start off with, this is Shelly.
Okay.
Yeah. Stand by. Go.
This is Shelly. She is an eastern box turtle. She is our only female ambassador turtle that we have at Piedmont Wildlife Center. We estimate that she's maybe around 40 years old or so. It's kind of hard to tell after a certain point. And we also, you know, we didn't like raise her or anything for ourselves. So we got her from, I think we got her from someone this person who had just like way too many box turtles and just like couldn't care for all of them anymore, and so Shelly came to live with us, and so did Sheldon. I think they came from the same place, if not related. But anyway, yeah, I think that. What else do you want me to say about
Yes,
Shelly?
now we can talk about her specific characteristics to being a female.
Okay, so you'll notice that Shelly is a lot more dull. Her coloration is a lot duller than Sheldon's was. She's not bright red or bright orange. She's got some kind of yellowish coloration and a lot of brown. But you will see that her eyes are red, which is usually the red or orange eyes are usually more of a male characteristic. So that's what I was talking about earlier. With sometimes you might see a female that has a more male typical characteristic, or vice versa. Another way we can tell that she's female is if we flip her up and we look at her carapace, which is the bottom of the shell. There's no indentation like there was with Sheldon. You can see that it's very flat and there's not really like a little place where I can put my thumb. Another way we can tell that she is female is, Sheldon, he had the marginal scutes on him were a lot more flared, but hers, they're pretty straight. Another way we can tell that she's female is if we look at her tail. Remember, Sheldon's was a lot longer, and his vent was more down here, extended past his shell, whereas hers does not really extend, it's not located past her shell. And then another way we can tell she's female is if we look at her, she's a lot. If we look at her, she's a lot rounder. Her shell is a lot more dome shaped than Sheldon's was, which Sheldon's was a little bit flatter. And yeah.
Do they have different personalities, male and female, that you can tell?
Not that I can tell between the genders. I think it's just turtle by turtle. Like Shelly is our most social turtle. I don't think I really ever see her closing up on her shell. She's always hanging out in her enclosure. She likes to kind of hang out towards the front and look out and see what people are doing. And if you go stand above her enclosure, she'll look up at you and see, what you're doing. And she likes being out with us, and it's very curious.
So, yeah. All right, I think good as the. Yeah.
Stand by, please. Anytime.
All right, if you could explain what makes Shelly a female turtle.
So first, when we look at Shelly, we see that she's not as brightly colored as Sheldon was. There's not really like bright red or bright orange. The colors are a lot duller. She has some yellow and some brown on her. But if you look at her eyes are actually red, which is usually more of like a male characteristic.
Let's start again.
Oh.
If you can just hold her steady, because you're talking with your hands, and we want to see the eyes.
It's very tight, so when
Yeah, I'm
you
very
move,
tight.
Okay.
Any movement you do
Yes.
is like an
As
earthquake.
steady as you can keep it.
Sorry.
Okay. So don't move her.
Yeah, but just don't shake her.
Okay.
Yeah, like
If
that.
you need to
Don't
move
do
the,
that.
like point stuff, but just like
Yeah.
keep her steady.
Sorry.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right. I think just leaving off at, I guess start with the eyes.
Okay. Yeah, so, but you'll see that Shelly kind of has red eyes, which is usually more of like a male characteristic. So that's what I was saying earlier about how like the coloration, sometimes a male might have more female coloration, or maybe a female will have a characteristic more common with males coloration. Another way we can tell that Shelly is a female is if we flip her up and we look at her plastron, which is the lower part of her shell. We can see that there's not really anywhere not really an indentation like there was with Sheldon, so it's, flat. Another way we can see that Shelly is female is if we look at her marginal scutes, which are the scutes that go around the shell. With Sheldon, they kind of flared out, if you remember, but with her, they're pretty straight.
And could you do that again about flaring out but lower
Oh.
below your mouth?
Okay.
Let's just start again.
From the-
And just hold it as steady as you can.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
and try not to get it above the level where you're holding it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be great.
Great.
Sorry.
From the top.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right. Yeah. If you. It's a good angle. Okay.
There you go.
Starting with the female characteristics.
Okay. So if we look at Shelly, we see that unlike Sheldon, who was, bright red, bright orange, Shelly's colors are a lot duller. She has some yellow and she has some brown. One interesting characteristic about her is her eyes are actually red, which tends to be more common with males, but sometimes, you might see a more male common characteristic on a female or vice versa kind of thing. Another way we can tell that Shelly is female is if we flip her up and we look at her plastron, which is the lower part of her shell. You can see that it's flat. There's not really any place for me, not really an indentation for me to put my thumb like there was with Sheldon. Another way we can tell Shelly's female is if we look at her marginal scutes, which are the scutes that go around the shell. They're a lot straighter, whereas if you remember with Sheldon, they kind of curved out like that. Another way we can tell that Shelly is female is if we look at her tail. It's a lot shorter than Sheldon's was, and her vent, which is that opening, is located above her shell, whereas on Sheldon it was more like down here lower. And then one more way we can tell that Shelly is female is if we look at her overall shape of her shell. It's a lot more dome shaped, whereas Sheldon's was a little bit flatter.
That was good.
Okay, great. What you notice as different about these two turtles side by side?
Okay.
We're rolling?
So here we have Shelly and Sheldon. This is Sheldon. He is our male turtle, and Shelly is.
Look right, Rachel.
Okay.
Let's start again. Look right, and anytime.
Okay, so we have Shelly and Sheldon, our male and female eastern box turtle. This is Sheldon, and this is Shelly. Immediately you'll notice that their colors are very different. Sheldon is very bright orange, and Shelly is a lot duller in color. She just kind of has some yellow and brown. That's one way to tell a male from a female turtle is the males tend to be more brightly colored. Another way to tell is we can kind of see their overall shapes. You can see that Sheldon's shell is a lot flatter, and Shelly's is a lot more kind of dome shaped and higher. Another way is if we look at their marginal scutes, which are the scutes around.
We're not starting. You keep looking at me.
Oh, okay.
If you could just stay right
Okay.
here. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Because it's disconcerting to our audience. Like, was she talking? Sorry. There we go.
Should I start over?
Yes, please. And just tell Rachel.
Okay.
Go.
Does I start from the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay. So here we have our male and female eastern box turtle. This is Shelly and Sheldon. Sheldon is our male and Shelly is our female. One of the things you immediately notice about them is they're very different colors. Sheldon.
Keep looking at me.
Oh, sorry. Should I start over?
Do you want me to like
You're
motion
just
when you're
explaining
not?
it
Yeah,
to
just,
Rachel.
Yeah,
just like
so-
you've been,
Motion to,
you've been
like,
doing all along.
feedback.
Okay.
Just to Rachel.
Start over?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay, so here we have Shelly and Sheldon, our male and female eastern box turtle. This is Sheldon, the male, and this is Shelly, our female. Immediately what you notice about them is they are different colors. Sheldon is a lot brighter in coloration. He has that bright orange, whereas Shelly is a lot more dull. She kind of has yellow and brown. So the coloration is one way to tell the male from female eastern box turtles apart. Another thing we can look at is if we look at kind of the shapes of their shells. Sheldon's is a lot flatter, and Shelly's is more dome shaped and higher. Another way is if we look at their marginal scutes, which are the scutes that run around the border of the shell. Sheldon's are a lot more flared out than Shelly's. If you can kind of see, yeah. Oh, maybe that way. Yeah. And then if we look at their tails, I don't know how to. Can you see their tails if I do that?
Let's start that sentence again.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Go.
And then if you look at their tails, Sheldon's.
Let's do it one more time. You're popping the mic. Hang on.
Start with the scutes and the dome. Very good.
Okay. So if we look at the overall shapes of their shells, we see that Sheldon's is a lot flatter and Shelly's is a lot more, it's a lot more dome shaped and rounder. Another way we can tell a male from a female is if we look at the marginal scutes, which are the scutes that run around the border of the shell. Sheldon's are a little bit more flared out, and you can see that Shelly's are more straight. Another way we can tell a male from a female is if we look at their tails. You can see that Sheldon's tail is longer than Shelly's tail is, and his vent that we talked about earlier is located past his shell, whereas on Shelly it is not. And then it's kind of hard for me to. Do you want me to talk about the flat thing, or won't really? Okay. And then I guess that's it.
All right.
Yeah, you want to shoot that tight?
What we need to do, let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. You could just explain the differences between Shelly and Sheldon.
Okay. So this is Shelly and Sheldon. They are male and female eastern box turtles. Sheldon is our male and Shelly is the female. What you immediately notice about them is that Sheldon is a lot more brightly colored than Shelly. He's got that bright orange coloration, whereas Shelly is a lot duller. She just kind of has some yellow and some brown. And that coloration is one easy way when you're looking at a box turtle. It's one of the first things you might notice about them, and one of the ways you can tell a male from a female. Another way we can tell them apart is if we look at the overall shapes of their shells. We can see that Sheldon's shell is a lot flatter and not as dome shaped as Shelley's, which is a lot rounder and higher. If we look at their marginal scutes, which are the scutes that run around the border of the shell, we see that Sheldon's are a little bit more flared out, and then Shelley's are a little bit straighter. Another way we can tell the male from the female is if we look at their tails. We can see that Sheldon's tail is longer, and his vent, which is that kind of little opening below his tail, is past his shell, whereas on Shelley, her vent is not that far down. One more way we can tell is if we look at their feet. We can see that Sheldon's claws are a little bit longer and more curved, whereas Shelley's are not as curved and they're shorter.
That's really good.
Yeah. That's good.
We're rolling.
Or if you could just explain the differences between Shelley and Sheldon.
Okay, so we have Shelley and Sheldon. These are our eastern box turtles. Sheldon is our male and Shelley is our female. One of the things we immediately notice about them is their coloration. Sheldon is a lot more brightly colored, whereas Shelley is a lot duller. Sheldon has these orange and reddish colors, and then Shelley has brown and kind of like a dull yellow. Coloration is one of the probably most...
You're talking with your hands.
Coloration is...
Let's start again.
Okay,
Let's start again.
from the beginning?
Lauren, just a teeny bit.
From the
Yes,
beginning?
please. Yes, please.
Okay.
Anytime.
Make it as steady as possible.
Okay.
Differences between Shelley and Sheldon.
Okay. So this is Shelley and Sheldon. They are our male and female eastern box turtles. This is Sheldon and this is Shelley. One of the first things you might notice about them is their coloration. Sheldon here is a lot more brightly colored. He's got that bright orange, whereas Shelley's coloration is a lot duller. She has that yellow and brown. Coloration is probably one of the most immediately noticeable things when you look at a turtle, and males are going to tend to be more brightly colored than females, generally speaking. Another way we can tell them apart is if we look at the overall shape of their shells. You can see that his shell's a lot flatter, whereas Shelley's is more dome shaped and is higher. Another way we can tell the males from the females is if you look at the marginal scutes, which are the scutes that run around the border of the shell. Sheldon's are a little bit more flared out, whereas Shelley's are a little bit straighter. Another way we can tell is if we look at their tails. We see that Sheldon's tail is longer than Shelley's tail, and his vent is located past his shell, whereas Shelley's is not that far down. And then one more way we can tell is if we look at their claws. We can see that Sheldon's are longer and a little bit more curved, and Shelley's are shorter and not as curved.
What's a vent? What's the vent?
The vent is that kind of like genital opening down there.
It's the opening of the shell, you mean?
No, it's like on their tail. It's like their genital,
Oh.
kind of general
Okay.
opening.
You're not really seeing the vent.
No.
Too small. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but
Turn them sideways like you did, so I can shoot sometimes.
Sheldon is really scary.
is this good? You need to do anything
You're
else?
doing great.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, if you could just tell us and introduce us to Shelley and Sheldon.
Yeah. So this is Shelley, our female eastern box turtle, and this is Sheldon, one of our male eastern box turtles. They actually came to us from the same place. It was from someone who just like had too many turtles that they could know. Oh,
Let's start again.
Just, okay, wait, if I do this, like, steady your hands because you're, like, talking with your hands.
Okay.
It's hard to
And
notice
you
when
can
you're
slow
doing
down.
it.
You
but
can
I'll
slow
just go
down.
like
You
that.
can slow down.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Alright, just introduce us to Shelley and Sheldon.
okay. So this is Shelley, our female eastern box turtle, and this is Sheldon, one of our male eastern box turtles. They actually came to us at the same time from the same place. They were taken in after they. Sorry. They were.
Let's just start.
Okay.
Lauren down just a teeny
When it
bit.
starts, you could say, if Shelley's neck is extended, you could say, this is Shelley with her neck extended, because the viewer won't know which one's which.
Okay.
If she doesn't.
If she
She's,
doesn't.
she's not extending anymore.
Yeah, she heard me.
The orange is really standing out,
Yeah, the
though, which is
orange.
great.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
great.
Let's start with the turtle with the orange coloration.
We're still rolling?
That's Sheldon.
Okay.
Alright.
Should I go?
So introduce us to Shelley and Sheldon.
This is Shelly and Sheldon. They are two of our eastern box turtles we have at Piedmont Wildlife Center. Shelly, the one with the yellow shell, is our female, and then Sheldon, the one who's moving around with the orange coloration, is the male. They both came to us from the same place, from someone. It was after someone who had a bunch of box turtles that they couldn't take care of, needed to find new places for them, so they came to live with us. We estimate that they're probably at least in their 40s or so. And yeah, they're two of our wildlife ambassadors. They go to programs, they go to schools, they go to birthday parties to just teach people about box turtles and give people the opportunity to meet a box turtle up close.
Alright,
And
really
and
good.
then we had a question from our students.
You guys. Could you bring her back so she's
Yeah.
not running through the woods?
Shelly, stand there.
There we go.
Or she usually stands there, but oh.
All right, so she's gonna go. All right, you can walk away. Thanks. And going the other way.
If you need a turtle who is marked like this sit, I can go get another one who I think. Sheldon might sit.
It's so tall, you can't use it.
All right, let her go. Okay. You want to grab him? Okay. Action.
Okay.
Back up.
What?
Keep going. Keep going. Stand by. Action.
Sorry, am I supposed to like?
And action. And you're looking at me. You're supposed to look at
Oh, right.
That's okay.
Okay, let's do it. Just keep on until I tell you. And action. Just keep holding it. I want you to move it to your left. When I say bring it back to where it is right now, move it to your left. Keep going, keep going, keep going, like you've just pulled it out, and put it in the frame. A little bit quicker. And go. That's great. And when I say go, you're going to look at the door and take off, and go. Good, let's do one. Action. Let's do me a favor. When I say action,
Oh.
sorry. Tell you what, come on back in, please. Action. Just hang on to it. Do the same thing. You held it with your right hand this time, so take it out of frame, put it towards the cage and or enclosure, and bring it into frame. When you're ready, I want you to look at the door and take off, and look down at the turtle. Action.
Woo!
Good. Man. Here we go. Looking at Sheldon. Go. Just keep looking. You pulled him out with your right hand, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Pull him back towards, stay where you are, but put him back towards the enclosure, and pull him in and go. And you'll be looking over here when you take off, and take off. Good. Okay.
Go ahead.
The
I don't know. Sorry. Do you think we'll just need one more?
If you could just send that to me too, since I'm narrating.
Now?
Anytime.
All right. I guess we'll start with why do you care about eastern box turtles and like what's important about them to you?
So the eastern box turtle is North Carolina state reptile. They are currently listed as vulnerable according to the IUCN, and we should just care about them because they're very charismatic, interesting reptiles. Each one has its own personality, and they just are an important part of the ecosystem.
Is that something that you love working with them because of that, or what do you love about working with them?
I just love that each one is unique. Just in personality, we have a couple of eastern box turtle ambassadors here at Piedmont Wildlife Center, and each one just kind of has their own little personality. And then I also just kind of love the way they look. Each one, the shell is different, and it's kind of like its own little mosaic. And yeah, they're pretty. I don't know.
They are. Okay. So I guess we can go into, because they're so pretty, all the differences between the male and female characteristics of the box turtles. If you want to go into that a little bit.
So between a male and a female box turtle, one of the easiest, or the first characteristics you might notice is the coloration. Male box turtles are usually a lot more brightly colored, so they're like red and orange, and they'll have usually brightly colored eyes. Whereas females tend to be duller in coloration, so they'll be kind of maybe a dull yellow or brownish tan type colors. Sometimes you might see males with more female coloration or females with more male coloration, so that kind of varies. So some other ways you could tell between a male or female is the shape of the shell. A male box turtle will tend to have a shell that's flatter, and a female will have one that's kind of higher and more dome shaped. Another way to tell is if you were to flip the turtle over and look at the plastron, which is the lower portion of the shell, kind of like the belly area of the shell. On a male, there's going to be a little indentation where you could put your thumb, whereas a female it would be flat. Another way is by the marginal scutes, so those are the scutes that go around the border of the shell. On a male, they're going to be a little bit more flared, and female, they'll be more straight. Another way is the back claws of the turtle. On a male, they're going to be curved and a little bit longer, and a female, they're going to be shorter and less curved. And one more way is by the tails. Males have a longer tail than females usually, and the vent, which is kind of the general opening on the back, is going to be below the shell, whereas on a female it would be above the shell if you were to like hold them like that.
Okay. So that sets the male and female apart. What sets eastern box turtles apart from other turtle species that we have around here? Why are they different?
So they're called box turtles because they have a hinge, and that hinge allows them to completely close up inside their shell when they feel threatened. And they're also terrestrial turtles, so they're not turtles that you're going to find like swimming around in the water.
Okay. Let's see. With the Turtle Trekkers program, I guess if you want to explain the Turtle Trek and the Turtle Trekkers.
So we have Triangle Turtle Trekkers, which is our citizen science project. So that's anybody who wants to be a part of it. If you find an eastern box turtle, you just need to take some pictures of it. Other data like the location is also great if you can get that, and you send it in to us, and then we take the photos, and we're using that to train an AI tool to be able to recognize individual turtles. And then the turtle treks that we offer here at Piedmont Wildlife Center at Lee Farm Park, those are where you get to go. We teach you how to do radio telemetry to track different turtles, and we just kind of talk about turtles in general.
So hold on 1 second so you can walk by.
Wait 1 second, Roger. They're still talking. Mike hears everything, sorry.
Yeah, you might want to wait a few seconds till they get it through the door there.
They're still going.
Oh, maybe they're not going to the door. Okay.
Okay. Go.
So they are going to the door.
It's semi-quiet out here.
Okay.
Should I maybe?
You're good.
Okay, so would you mind explaining the radio telemetry in like some more simple terms of how explaining the turtle trek, but as how the radio telemetry works instead of just like saying it was radio telemetry?
So here at the park, we use radio telemetry to track 6 turtles currently. And the way that works is each turtle has a radio transmitter attached to its shell. So it's like a little ball, it's like about that big, and it has an antenna off of it. It doesn't hurt them or like obstruct their movements or in any way. And so the transmitter sends out a signal, and then we have a special antenna that we use to pick up on that signal, and then the signal is kind of translated into a beeping sound, and we follow the beep to find the turtle.
Excited to do that tomorrow. But would you mind explaining just what are some of the reasons we know that, well, you could state that eastern box turtles are threatened, but what are some of the reasons why?
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons for box turtle decline are things like habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, and also just kind of road mortality. The more we build things, the more roads go up, the more turtle habitat we might be cutting through, and the turtles are still going to try to, move around, and that's when you might find a turtle in the road who gets hit by a car.
Ask about that turtle. What do you do when you see a turtle in the middle of the road?
Yeah, so if you were walking out and you saw a turtle on the road, what should you do?
If you see a turtle in the road, you can gently pick it up and, take it to the other side of the road where it was in the direction it was headed.
What should you not do?
You shouldn't pick the turtle up and take it home with you. You shouldn't try to take it somewhere really far away, and you shouldn't put it in the direction it just came from, because then it's just going to keep trying to get across the direction it was going.
One question, one thing that I really enjoyed that you said earlier that I thought was super valuable is you talked a little bit about the value of the turtle ambassadors and how people seeing one of the turtle ambassadors whenever normally they wouldn't piques an interest in them that they don't normally. If you just talk about the value of the turtle ambassadors a little bit more like you did earlier.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah.
Well, why don't you reword the question so she can talk to you?
It's a big question.
Could you explain the importance of having your turtle ambassadors and turtles here at the Piedmont Wildlife Center for people to come and see, and why is that something that is important to eastern box turtle populations?
So at the center, we currently have 5 eastern box turtles that live with us full time. There are animal ambassadors, so they go to schools and they go to different birthday parties and different events, and it gives people a chance to just see a real, eastern box turtle up close and in person, and just kind of like make a deeper connection. I think that it's hard to care about something and convince other people to care about something when it's something that they've never seen before and they've never interacted. So giving people that opportunity to just like see something up close and gain a deeper connection with it is really important for conservation.
Yeah. Okay.
Just cut.
Sounds good.
We're cutting. Just like that, and here we go. We're rolling. Anytime.
All right. Just a couple more questions, but could you tell us about what the future looks like for eastern box turtles?
So part of the thing about box turtles is they are a long-lived species. I mean, they can live, 50 plus years. And so for the most part, it's kind of, we're not really sure. That's why we need to keep doing these projects, and we need to keep collecting as much data as possible, because, the longer we collect the data for, the more complete picture we might have of what's really going on with their population numbers over time.
So is it looking like box turtles could decline and become endangered, or do you think that the conservation efforts have been going well so far?
I think
Just cut.
location are the people who are like going in and out of that trailer, and they run the camps.
Oh, okay.
We're rolling.
Okay, so if you could just tell us about whether box turtles are going to be looking to be endangered in the future, or if conservation efforts have been going well.
So right now they're classified as vulnerable according to the IUCN, and which means that if something isn't done, they could, the population could continue to decline, and they might, potentially disappear from the wild. So I think that that's why it's just really important to just spread awareness about box turtles. I think a lot of people don't. I mean, people probably know of box turtles, but they don't really understand the importance. And I think that a lot of people see box turtles, like we've all seen one, and I think that sometimes seeing something might make you think that there's not, a threat to it at all. But really, we do need to be mindful of what's happening with their populations in the wild.
And I just want to add one more thing. Like, is there anything that you think is important about eastern box turtles that we didn't get to ask you something to give you the chance to talk about?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No, that's all good.
And then, are you going to talk with
Right.
Sarah more about the paper? Because I think that she'll be, because she was on that, so she'll might. Because I know the paper has some data about what we've found so far with the population,
Yeah.
and that would probably be a better answer to like what's the future of.
Yeah.
So we
Okay,
can give the
interesting.
name and
Yeah.
whatever else she needs to say.
Okay, so just sort of my name is, and I
Okay.
work here, or your position as well.
My name is Caitlin Saxton. I'm the Research and Husbandry Coordinator at Piedmont Wildlife Center.
Give me one more.
My name is Caitlin Saxton, and I'm the
Start again. Ready?
My name is Caitlin Saxton, and I'm the Research and Husbandry Coordinator at Piedmont Wildlife Center. Is that good?
Okay. Actually, let's just sit around.
a bigger leaf?
Anytime, Caitlin.
I want to redo this. Sorry, it's like taking a very long time.
Do that one more time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Just let it keep keeping.
What is that?
It's good. Good. Hang on one second.
Is it?
Alright, could you explain to me basically what you explained to us earlier about the different volumes and what they mean, as well as whenever you get closer, how you switch to the different channels?
So when we turn the transmitter on, when we turn the receiver on and the antenna on, we can hear a beeping sound, and we're picking up the signal from the transmitter of the turtle that we're trying to find. And the louder the beep, the closer to the turtle that we are. And so we kind of, as we're walking, we'll point it in different directions, and if the beeping is louder in one direction and quieter in another direction, then we know to head in that direction.
Perfect. So can you just elaborate? You head in the direction you're supposed
Yes, you head in the direction where the beeping is louder.
to. And then,
We've got a good bite there. So, can you just give us a little bit more of moving the antenna and looking for the sound to increase? Can you do what you were doing at the
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just cut a second. Okay.
But please turn toward us so we
Oh,
can see.
that's okay. Yeah, so if you just point it in multiple different directions.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll start over here then.
back to your right. More to the right. Even more to the right.
About that several times.
We're rolling.
Okay, so what are we gonna do next?
So now that we've determined the direction that the turtle is, we're just going to keep following that, and then I'm going to turn on the attenuator, which kind of fine tunes the signal once the, kind of main signal maxes out, and then from there we should be able to find the turtle pretty quickly.
And that's where we're going next.
And where are we going next?
We're going to go that direction into the woods.
Should I have her looking at that since she turned away like that?
Well, I mean, what you told me was spontaneous since you turned to the left. It's
Okay.
hard to replicate that.
Okay.
Maybe you could just ask, when you're turning to the left, can you hold her?
Got it.
This is body work moving.
Perfect. Okay, so can you like point to where we're gonna go next to like visually show us where?
We're going to go that way.
You can ask her to turn to the left to do that.
Got it. Will you turn your body to the left? to do
Okay.
that? Thanks.
We're going to go that way.
Good?
Okay,
Okay.
Kaylin. Caitlin, action. Good.
Okay.
Alright. So if you would just explain to me and kind of like show me, like you did earlier, whenever you get closer and it kind of maxes out volume after that.
So this that sound means that this signal is as loud as it'll go. So now we're going to turn on the attenuator, which kind of further fine tunes the signal so that we'll be able to find the turtle. Right now we're getting closer, but we're not close enough that we would actually be able to find the turtle without the attenuator. So when we turn it on, you can hear that the beep is a lot quieter again, meaning that we're not as close as it might have sounded when we had the attenuator off.
Thank you.
So that,
Do it again.
Alright. Could you do that same thing one more time?
okay. So this sound means that we're getting closer to the turtle, but we're not there yet. So to further fine tune the signal, we turn on the attenuator, and you can hear that it's a lot quieter now, meaning that we are not as close as it might have sounded without the attenuator on. And yeah.
Whenever you say like this sound, if you could be like, it's now maxed out its volume without the attenuator, like how you told us off camera. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you, like, explain attenuator? Because you said that kind of fast, and I feel like that was a bigger word. Can you just explain like that's what it should be?
Or
Okay.
if we're going to show the knob, is it a knob you turn?
And we are rolling.
So now the signal's as loud as it'll go. That's what that kind of cracking sound is. So now that we're getting closer to the turtle, but we're not quite there yet, we're going to turn on this switch. And you can see that the signal's a lot quieter again, meaning that we're still, a ways away from the turtle, but we're getting very close.
Yeah. Could you do that one more time, but just look at me instead of the camera? No, you're totally fine.
Did you turn on or turn off the switch?
I turned it on.
You turned it on. Okay.
All right, stand by. Rolling.
Alright, so if you can explain to me basically what happens whenever the volume maxes out without the switch.
So right now, the sound that you're listening to means that the signal is as loud as it'll go. And at this point, that means we're close to the turtle, but we're not close enough to find it yet. So we'll turn on this switch, which will fine tune the signal a little bit further, and we will be able to find the turtle.
Okay. We'll do the action. Do it again, and I'm just going to point to you, so I don't want to hear my say anything. Ready? Good.
Oh, what do I need to be doing?
Just what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Keep looking.
Well, it's definitely not in here. Might take me a minute to find it. I don't know. I usually can find them pretty quickly, but I feel like under something. They like to like bury themselves under the pine needles, so sometimes it's hard to spot them. But I think he's like right in here. Well, do you want to come help me look, and then we'll just like pretend we found it once we find out where it is? Because I don't know how long it'll take.
And just like, if you have something you want to say while you're looking for it, like what you said about the pine straw was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually can find them pretty quickly, but sometimes they'll be like right next to you and you won't even realize it because they're like good at kind of burying down and hiding. I don't know. No, that's just dirt. No, that's not it. Ooh. The receiver says it's right here, but I don't know. Sometimes if we don't find a turtle that day, because sometimes they're just hiding, we can't spend forever looking for them. We'll just like go find another turtle and then come back and try to find that turtle tomorrow. So I don't know like how long you want me to look for it. But interesting. Well, make sure it's yeah. Yeah, it's right there. So I don't know where it is. What do? Yeah. Do you? Yeah.
No need to look at me. There's no need to look
Oh,
at the
don't
camera.
worry, okay.
And go. So, action. Okay, uncovering a little bit. We're going to do it one more time.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yep.
I think the first time she held up a little bit higher and closer to her body, I think.
I'm not, it's totally out of frame. She takes it totally.
Oh, it takes
I'm
it
not
out of
seeing
frame?
I'm just seeing a turtle.
Okay.
Here we go. Stand by. Hang on a second. Action. Good.
Okay.
Anytime. All right, hang on. Action. Your hair is blocking the entire thing. So if you could not lean in as much. And go. Right, I'm going to have you do that again. Bring your backpack. Let me see it in its final position, please. Where you're going to hold it to
Oh,
do your you're
Probably
doing
just,
temperature?
Yeah, probably just right here. Is that okay?
As long as I know where you're doing. Okay, hold it down there so I can see it. I'm sorry. Take it away. And when I say go, do your thing, go. All right, stand by. Yeah, if you could you not lean in too much to your, just to keep your head back. I'm sorry, because I can't see it. And take that out of frame. Good, and go. I didn't know you were going to do that. One more time, please. Good, and go.
So-
One more. Did you do it that long?
No.
No, that's what I thought.
So just look up and down? Okay.
Whatever you did. Yeah. Go. Good. Pull out the a little bit. Turn towards me a little bit more. Okay. And do it again. Go to the first screen. Second screen. Give me one more. I gotta change something real quick. Sorry. First screen. Second screen. Take it away. Good. What? Just drop it straight down and come back in. Go. Give me one more. Go. Take it away. Perfect.
So if you could, like they said, just explain what you were just explaining to Lyndon about what that notch is on its back and how you know which turtle that is.
So this is CHO, or we call her Cho. This is one of our 6 eastern box turtles that we have at Lee Farm Park as part of our long-term radio telemetry project. We know that this is CHO because on the marginal scutes, we make a notch corresponding to a letter, so it goes all the way around A, B, C, D, etc. So this is C, then this one's kind of worn away, but H, O. So we know that this turtle is Cho. And this is the radio telemetry. This is the transmitter that goes on the turtle shell. We just kind of secure it with a little bit of epoxy, and this is the antenna. It doesn't hurt the turtle or interfere with their behaviors in any way. Cho is a female turtle because you can see a lot of the characteristics that we talked about earlier with how do I distinguish male versus female, and we've been tracking her since 2011.
Good. Now we're going to do a close-up. Anytime.
This is CHO, or Cho as we call her. This is one of our 6 radio telemetry turtles that we have that we track at Lee Farm Park. We know that this is Cho because each turtle is encoded with a 3-letter code that we do by marking notches in the shell. So around the marginal scutes, we label them A, B, C, etc. So this is C, and then H, O. Right here on the turtle is the radio transmitter. This is just secured with a little bit of epoxy, and here's the antenna. And it doesn't hurt the turtle or interfere with their behaviors at all. We know Cho is a female because of some of the characteristics that we talked about earlier that we can see on her, and we have been tracking her since 2011.
Do you want for her to point out?
Good. Just hold it real steady. Anytime.
This is CHO, one of our 6 radio telemetry turtles that we track here at Lee Farm Park. We know this is CHO because each turtle is encoded with a 3-letter code around the shell, around the marginal scutes. So we label them A, B, C, etc. So this is C, H, O. Right here on the turtle, this is the radio transmitter. It's just secured with a little bit of epoxy, and it doesn't hurt or interfere with the turtle's behavior or movements. We have been tracking Cho since 2011. That's good.
Good. Good.
Box turtles won't have that. They'll be much more dome-shaped. They almost look more like tortoises, even though they're still turtles. And then looking at Tara's beak, we will see that she has a very strong, very large beak. I will bring her around. We won't touch her just because she's a water turtle, but you can see that big, powerful beak. Now, what do we think Tara could be eating with that beak? And I'll give you a hint. She's a carnivore. Fish? That's a good one.
Insects or worms?
She could eat any insect that gets in the water.
Cows.
Cows? I don't think she's eating cows.
Cows are too large for turtles to eat.
Can we think about something with a shell in a kind of salty-ish water that she might eat?
Crabs? Another turtle.
Crabs? Oh yeah, she'd love to eat crabs.
Another turtle.
She wouldn't really eat other turtles unless she had to. But we can also think about clams
Can.
or mussels. Yes,
Sometimes turtles lay eggs.
they do. That's right.
Turtles do like
And then they also eat things like snails. So anything with a rough shell that's going to be in the water, they will definitely eat it.
hands.
Gonna be two sides.
All right.
Also,
Do we have any questions about this?
Why is her skin like colored like that?
Her skin is colored like that as a form of camouflage. So in estuaries and the Sound, it is mostly going to be grass, kind of seagrass that grows along the side. And when the light filters through that grass and hits the water, it's not a solid shadow. It's a bunch of little bits of shadow. And so this light with a dotted pattern actually mimics that shadow.
Okay.
why is the show kind of orange and what and kind of yellow?
Yeah, so that's her counter shading that we saw with Jade. So you'll see that her bottom is very light, bright color, and her back is dull. So just like how Jade could have predators above or below her, the same thing's true with Terra. So that bright color is going to mimic the sunlight on the water for any predator underneath her. All right. Well, we will go ahead and we will put Terra back.
What's in that other box that's white?
This box, that's our box turtle. That's who we're meeting next. And saw Bob, thought he would make an adorable pet, and decided to take him home. Now, they did not know a lot about box turtles. One, as we mentioned before, box turtles are terrestrial. They don't like to swim, and he put Bob in a bathtub. Bob did not like living in the bathtub. The second problem that this person discovered was that in captivity, box turtles can live over 80 years. That is a pet that you are willing to your grandchildren. That's who's going to be taking care of them. And so he decided that he wanted Bob to be returned to the wild. So he brought Bob to us. But he didn't remember where he got Bob. Most eastern box turtles will spend their entire lives in an area that's about the size of a football field. And they have a really good homing instinct. So if we were to just place Bob out here in the woods, he would spend the rest of his life wandering around. We don't know how far he'd have to go, and there would be a chance that in his effort to get home, he wouldn't hibernate, and that could be fatal for a box turtle. So Bob stays with us as one of our ambassadors. Now, people are most likely to encounter box turtles when they are crossing roads. Just seems to be going. Now, in the wild, box turtles are opportunistic omnivores. Can anybody tell me what that means?
No, I have no idea.
No idea?
Carnivores they smell like dinosaurs, but they're actually a turtle name too.
Okay, yeah. So we'll break it down into two parts. Does anyone know what an omnivore is? Yes.
Doesn't they eat plants? Like little plants or
They eat plants, but they eat something else too. They eat meat as well. Yes, an omnivore eats both plants and animals. And now opportunistic, that's a big word, but it just means they'll eat whatever they can if they get the chance. So what do we think are some of the things that a box turtle would eat in the wild? Snails. They would definitely eat snails.
Worms?
Worms.
There's a picture over there.
Clams. They don't really swim, but if they found a clam, they would.
There's a picture over there.
There is. That's some of our wild box turtles.
Crickets?
Crickets? Yes. So they would eat all kinds of bugs. They would also eat things like mushrooms, leaves, young flower buds, and if they got into a garden, they would eat anything in the garden. Now here at the Wildlife Center, our box turtles get fruits, veggies, a salad, and then a superworm every other day. And just like how a dog or a cat learns when it's feeding time, the box turtles know when it's superworm time. They will follow you around till you give it to them. Now, as I mentioned with opportunistic, if they get the chance and they think they can, they'll eat it. I mean that in the extreme. Box turtles will also eat roadkill occasionally. They will eat the feces of things like raccoons if they happen upon it. And I have seen a video of a box turtle eating a small garden snake that was stuck in a net. So if they can, they will. Now, we've been calling them box turtles, and there is a reason for that. So if we look at Bob's underside, you will see that he has a hinge. Box turtles are the only turtles that can completely close their shell. So in the wild, if they encountered a predator, Bob could put his head and his feet into his shell and then close it like the top of a box. And so that is where they get their name from. What do you think? Now, I'm going to bring Bob a little bit closer, and we're going to see why we know he's a male box turtle. So, as I'm bringing him around, what do you think are some good indications that he is a male?
So he can dig with his big claws.
He does have claws. That is a good observation. So male box turtles, their back claws actually bend. Females will look almost completely straight. That is because they need a shovel so that they can dig nests, whereas boys need a little curve so that if they're fighting another boy, they can kind of just stick their claws in the ground and not back down. What is another way that we can tell that Bob is a boy?
Genitalia?
Yes, if we could see that. We cannot see it, but that would be a good indicator.
Eye color?
Eye color, yes. So males typically have bright red or yellow eyes. Now, eye color and skin color, which is another one, we'll see Bob has that bright orange, is a general indicator. It's usually an indication that it's a boy. Females will be kind of more brown with brown eyes. But you do get the exception with the bright colored female.
Maybe like the facial features?
Yeah, so if we look at Bob, you'll see that his beak comes really far down over his bottom jaw. Males typically will have a much larger beak than the females, so that's another great way. Another way we can tell is if we look at the top of his shell, which we call the carapace, these scutes, these individual scales along the edge, they kind of flare out. And so that's another indication that it's a boy. Females will almost be perfectly flat against their shell. And the last way, and probably the best way to tell them apart, is to look again at the bottom of his shell. You see, Bob has an indent where I can place my thumb. Females will be perfectly flat. So if you find a wild box turtle and they're hidden in their shell, so you can't see their eye color, you can't see their beak, you can't see their the color of their skin, you can look at the bottom and look for that indent. That's probably going to be your most reliable indicator of whether or not you found a boy or girl box turtle. All right. Do we have any questions?
How old is Bob?
That is a great question. Bob is in his 40s. On the side here, if you were to take one of these individual scoots, these big scales, you can count the rings like tree cookies up until about 25. After that, they get too close together. Bob is well past 25. Yes.
Is he in his 40s in turtle years or in human years?
Both. A year for a turtle is a year for a person.
Yeah.
For the most part. All right. Any other questions about Bob? Alright, so we will actually get the opportunity to touch Bob. Again, we want to do our 2-finger touch. We can touch his shell, which he will feel. It's just like your fingernail. If someone were to touch the top, you can feel that. He can feel this as well. And you can touch his back feet. So you can kind of compare how it's all scales, but the scales feel different from the shell versus his feet. And when he gets closer, you'll notice there's this line down the middle of his back. What do you think that line is?
A line?
Yeah, we see this line.
A line.
That is his spine. Turtles are infused to their shell. Their spine goes down the middle, which you see the ridges for. And if you were to remove the scoots, you would actually see their ribs are a part of their shell as well. don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and put Bob away, and we will move on.
All right, so I guess first, I'm Rachel. You just want to introduce yourself?
I'm Cora.
All right, Cora. So, what do you love about turtles?
It's just they're so cool, and like the certain like things about them, like how they can just dig to the ground and how sharp some of their nails are, and how there's so many different types of turtles.
Yeah, so I know you saw 2 types of turtles today. Did you like the Bob, the eastern box turtle?
Yes.
Yeah. So what were your favorite things that you learned about Bob?
Probably how to indicate different genders.
Mhm.
Because like the best part is like the easiest part is with the dent on the stomach box.
All right, I actually messed up there and I made a noise when you were still talking. So you want to just say sort of what you said again about what you liked learning most about Bob?
Sure. It's based like how they indicate gender and by the dent in the stomach.
So there's a lot of box turtles that live around here in these woods. Do you think that Piedmont Wildlife Center is like a good place for a turtle to live?
Yes, because it seems like there should be enough food for them, and they seem to be able to live a healthy life here.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but the box turtles like Bob are currently threatened a bit, and they have a lot of things that are making their populations decline. What do you think that we should all do to help turtles?
One, I think you should recycle because pollution is also a really bad thing. It hurts turtles. And like stop trying to hunt animals, and maybe it all depends on which animal though, just in case. But like bear traps, maybe you shouldn't be starting to place them because I know turtles can get stuck in those.
Yeah, that would be really bad. I think that's all the questions we had for you. Okay. Is there anything else that?
Can you say, I like box turtles, and then tell us why you like them? Can you say that?
I like box turtles because of how unique they are. It's just so cool because they have all different features that other turtles can't do.
Yeah.
Good.
It's really good.
Great, thank you.
All right, if you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself to start off.
I'm Caleb Hess. I'm 13. This is a pretty nice place.
All right, so let's start with, what do you like about turtles?
Turtles are just like they have like an interesting personality. They have they look cute. They really look cute. They just got the little shells, and like in the water they're always really fast. They're just really interesting overall.
Is that your, what would you say is your favorite thing about them?
Their little faces. They're just really cute.
So you saw 2 turtles today. One of them that you saw was Bob, the eastern box turtle. So what do you think was special about Bob?
He just looked really cool. Like you don't really expect to see like a red orangish turtle. Like when you think of a turtle, it's usually like brownish, tan, beige, but he was like red. It was really cool.
Yeah, so we actually are working on this because box turtles like Bob are being threatened by a lot of human activity. So Piedmont Wildlife Center is a pretty good spot for them here. So if you were a turtle, what would you think about living around here at Piedmont Wildlife Center?
I mean, this place is really friendly. There's nice people. There's a good assortment of food. It's meant for turtles. It's well designed.
What about turtles that don't live at Piedmont Wildlife Center? What do you think are problems that they have to deal with?
Well, I mean, they're endangered. They're well, not all of them, but it's a difficult life, but they can still manage mostly. That's important.
Yeah. So if you saw a turtle on the road, what would you do? What do you think you should do?
Well, I mean, pick it up and help it go where it's going. ideally. Try not to get bitten, depending on the turtle.
Yeah. Sorry, do you have something else you want to say?
No.
Talk about Bob again.
Yeah. Do you want to do you have anything else that you want to say about Bob? Any thoughts on Bob?
Bob, he like close up, his like texture looks really interesting. Like you don't really imagine turtles having like incredibly intricate shells, but it's really detailed. It's surprising.
Oh, I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. What do you think that you and your classmates and all of us can do to help box turtles?
Watch out for them. Make sure you avoid disturbing them and help them get where they're going, wherever that might be.
All right. Yeah. We're all good.
Okay.
Thank you, Kate.
All right. So if you want to just go ahead and start, just introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Jonan Hare. I'm 11 years old.
You want to just look at me while you're doing it. You want to say it again?
My name is Jonan Hare. I'm 11 years old.
All right. So to start off, what do you like about turtles?
Really, it's the fact that their spine and their ribs are part of their shell.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting to me. I really didn't know that.
Just one more thing for the next couple questions I'm going to ask. If you try as much as you can to just look at me when you're talking, if that's all right.
Okay.
All right. So I'll just go and do that one more time. So what are your favorite things about turtles?
I like the fact that their rib cage and spine is inside of their shell and they're connected to their shell.
I know you saw a bunch of different turtles, but what was your favorite thing about Bob, the box turtle, that made him different?
Bob the box turtle? Probably the fact that he has like that dip like in the middle of the shell.
All right. So
Let ask you to just mention what I like about box turtle.
okay. Yeah. Would you mind saying that just one more time, but starting it with, because the people that are listening to this aren't going to know what I asked you. They're only hearing you. So if you want to say, what I liked about Bob the box turtle is this.
Okay.
You want to start it like that.
Okay.
So what did you like about Bob the box turtle?
So what I liked about Bob the box turtle is really the dip in like on the bottom of the shell. Really. And more so the colors too.
Yeah, tell us more about the colors.
It's just I really like the way that like the orange like sits there like with the black and it makes like a nice swirling like motion really. Not like motion, but it just like looks there. It's kind of like a painting.
Yeah, I know they called it a lot of like mosaics and beautiful about their shells, but what do you think is special about box turtles that sets them apart from other turtles?
Probably because the fact that they can close their shell around them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you knew, but box turtles are actually threatened by a lot of things that humans are doing. So what do you think that we can do, that you can do to help box turtles?
Well, similar to I don't remember what the name of the stork is, like how they are like securing the habitats of the box turtles. Or you could like have people like in the areas to make it illegal to like go through there with any type of weapon that could be used to hunt box turtles.
Yeah, so I know Piedmont Wildlife Center, this whole spot right here, is where they have a lot of box turtles that they keep track of. So what do you think it is about here that makes it a good place for box turtles to live?
Probably like the vast like grasslands and the fact that you have like the bushes where they can like live themselves and mate. And the place is very protected, so no one's gonna come in here hunting for box turtles.
Yeah.
Rachel, I'm going to ask you, when you got home today, what would you tell your mother or father the most exciting thing you saw today?
I think I know your mom is here with you, right?
Right.
But if she wasn't here, what would you, if you were to tell her the most exciting thing that you learned today about anything or about turtles, whatever you did on this field trip, what would you tell her about?
About literally anything?
Well, what's the most exciting thing that's happened on this field trip that you'd tell your mom if she wasn't here?
Probably like the crow like viciously staring at me because like I walked over to the thing, right, and then I'm like this, and I'm looking towards it, and then like it like turns its head like slowly. It's like over here, it just like it just like stares at me for like a good like 25 seconds without blinking.
Yeah. Thankfully the turtles weren't that scary, but
Right.
I think that's all the questions I have.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're all
thank
set.
you.
All right, well, Bronwyn, if you can start by introducing yourself and telling us your title.
My name's Bronwyn Nishikawa, and I am a citizen or community scientist.
Awesome. Why and how did you become involved with Piedmont Wildlife Center?
Oh gosh, we've been longtime supporters of the Piedmont Wildlife Center over decades and seen how they've evolved to really do a lot of education and outreach, which is fantastic. So we've had, our family's always had a love of nature. And I think, well, it actually goes back because when I was a child, we had an educator, first grade, who just introduced us to wildlife and our place in it. And I think that affected me and my children, and my husband had a similar interest. And so to have the Piedmont Wildlife Center be able to do that kind of focus of outreach and education we knew that was spot on, wanted to support that. Yeah.
How did you become a citizen scientist?
Good question. I think it was one of the notices from the Piedmont Wildlife Center, and it may have been it was just prior to the pandemic. So they had started this program of turtle trekkers, where I heard about that. And then during the pandemic, they actually had an orientation where they got us up to speed about the artificial intelligence that's being used to identify individual turtles by their shells, which was a lot less stressful, so we never would touch them. We could take pictures, and that would provide enough data for, I guess, whatever the software is, to start identifying specific turtles and starting to track their behavior. So that was really cool.
So did you learn how to use the software, or is that something that Piedmont Wildlife Center would use after you sent in?
Exactly,
Okay.
right. So they just relied on the community scientists to provide the pictures, as many as we could, and then there was just a centralized database where we would put the pictures and where we saw them, what time of day, yeah,
Awesome.
that kind of thing.
So how do you spread awareness about eastern box turtles other than being a citizen scientist? Or maybe that is your work with Piedmont Wildlife Center?
That is my primary work, yeah, and it's really by word of mouth. So if somebody sees me taking pictures or moving a turtle out from danger on being on the road, that's usually when somebody would ask.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's important for the community to know about these turtles?
Oh, I think they're amazing creatures. They have lived longer than we do, most of us. And there's so much that's really not known about them and their life. And I think they're a reflection of what our environment is going through at the time. So yeah, they're just a part of our world, and I think people should know about them.
Why do you love turtles, and why are you passionate about this cause?
Like I said, they are amazing creatures. The longevity, the way they survive, they ruminate. I think box turtles in particular have that ability to completely close their shells, which is just an amazing technology to evolve. So they've always fascinated me, and I think it's just, in addition, maybe it's part of the culture too, that they're symbolic of 10,000 years of long life as well in the Asian culture, yeah.
So what is a shelfie, and when did shelfies first become established that you know of?
I think in 2017 was when I first became familiar with it, to start taking pictures. And it's very simple. It's just overhead, as close as you can get without disturbing them, in their natural environment, and just a clear shot of the shell. Yeah.
What's your earliest memory of taking a shelfie? Or maybe your favorite memory of taking a shelfie?
Oh, this one we were actually walking through Duke Forest, and my son saw one, I swear. It was the size of my thumbnail. It must have been born that year, hatched that year, came out and was just sunning itself on a very thin branch. Never would have seen it. That was like a sight of a lifetime to be able to take that, to see that, yeah.
What can we do to help Eastern Box Turtles and Piedmont Wildlife Center as people who may not know as much about
Hang on a
turtles? Also,
We asked them to
I think that he's going to do that also.
Okay.
I think it's just
Okay.
So if we can redo what your favorite memory or earliest memory of taking a shelfie is.
Okay. One of my favorite memories of taking a shelfie was to find a newly hatched box turtle during a walk in Duke Forest. And I swear it was the size of my thumbnail. And I don't think I'd ever see it unless my son just has these incredible eagle eyes and spotted it right there. So that was a really special memory, and to see it with my family, and also to see something that young. Yeah.
What can we do to help Eastern Box Turtles and Piedmont Wildlife Center as people who may not know about turtles and what they do?
Okay. What can we do to help Eastern Box Turtles? Slow down, be aware when you're driving on the road, because they have a territory. They're not aware of developments of cars, traffic. They just have a certain pathway that they go to cover their territory seasonally. And if somebody could just be a little bit more aware of when they're driving, and if they see a turtle, just to be able to drive around it, or in fact, it'd be great if they could pull over safely and safely carry it to the off of the road. That would be awesome.
So if you were to tell someone how to take a shelfie, I think we kind of went over this, but maybe if you can go back over, if someone spots a turtle,
Yes.
how do they take a shelfie? What should they do?
Okay. So if somebody spots a turtle,
hang
first,
on 1 second. When you do that or you do that, the mic gets
Oh,
but
sorry.
you talk with your hands, just be aware that it's
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
You're doing great.
Here
These
we
are
go.
awesome.
All right.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Okay, thank you. So if somebody spots a turtle, the first thing is to make sure that they are in a safe location, both the turtle and the photographer, away from traffic, and just be able to get close enough to do an overhead shot. And a cell phone is terrific. And if they're covered with leaves, I think it's okay to gently clear off any debris or leaves so you have a clear picture of the shell. It's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And last time it was encouraged to take at least 2 pictures of the shell, and I think that just helps with the software. And also if you have available like a ruler or something to give perspective of the size of the shell.
Sorry. Are we good?
Let's cover the ruler again. Let's do the ruler.
The ruler?
Yeah, let's talk
Okay,
about
if you can cover back to taking 2 photographs and what kind of ruler you use.
Okay, so if possible, if you have a ruler or something that of a standard size to show markings, that would be great to give a perspective of how large the turtle is. Yeah.
Awesome. And can you go back over what is the software that people or the Piedmont Wildlife Center uses once you send in your shelfie?
That's a great question. I just call it the software. I don't know the name of it.
And what does the software do again, you were saying?
The software will look at all the pictures that have been submitted of the turtle
Let's
shell.
just stop. Let's just stop.
Oh, the airplane?
Okay, so after someone takes a picture, what happens when they send in this picture with the software?
Okay. So when we send in a picture, we also provide information of its location and the time of day, and any other notes related to that turtle. And the software is supposed to compare it to the database of other pictures that people had submitted over time. So this program, I think, has been at least 5 years, so they have a lot of turtle pictures to look at. And so it will look at the pattern of the shell, usually from overhead, and some kind of algorithm, and they can start making connections. So I think the last time I looked, they may have identified 24 regulars within this database, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. So why are you passionate about eastern box turtles, and what should make other people passionate about eastern box turtles?
Oh, why am I passionate about eastern box turtles? I think they're amazing animals. For one, they live longer than we do, and they should have a chance to live as they do. That's why I think other people should be aware of the threats to their habitat, which is, you know, part of our development too, right? We're spreading out, but it's also threatening their habitat as well. So I think they should be aware of the choices.
That's true. That's true.
Still rolling.
Why should we be concerned with the future of box turtles?
Okay, I gotta think about that one. Well, why should we be concerned about the future of box turtles?
Instead of repeating the question, why don't you say we should be concerned about?
Okay.
It'd be much
Of
better.
eastern box
Yeah,
turtles.
yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, we should be concerned about the future of the eastern box turtle because it's not only one creature, it's a reflection. We're all going to be affected somewhere down the road. So the animals that it feeds on, or the animals that will feed on it when it's very young, part of that cycle is going to be disruptive. And we just don't know it yet, but the population has been declining already. And so we don't want to hit that critical point.
That was awesome. Thank you
Oh.
so much.
Hang on one second.
Okay.
Really, really, really good.
Because it's not going to work too well. She's actually repeating the question. And I thought her answer was really good about moving turtles from the road.
Okay, so what
She
should
just
we
said
do?
one of the best things we can do.
Okay.
Start with that.
What are the
What
best
is-
things?
One, or
What is one
she's
of the
only
best
did
things
say
we can
one.
do?
Okay,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay. So we're gonna do what is one of the best things we can do if you see a turtle.
One of the best, okay.
Say, all right, anytime.
One of the best things that we can do when we see a turtle is first off, make sure that it is safe and away from traffic, and that you're safe and away from traffic as well. So it would be to move the turtle if it's not, and take a picture or a selfie.
Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Okay, so here's the turtle, and I'm going to take a picture of her real quick, trying to get as much of her shell as possible. This one's moving kind of quick. I've never had this speedy turtle like this before, but as many pictures as possible, which is great. Here we go. And I also, if I have a chance, try to get one on the side, because you can look at the eyes, the color of the eyes and the sides. Okay, here we go. Nice. She poses really well. Okay, do it this way. That's about it.
her down and run away, Caitlin.
Okay,
Go.
so if you see a
Hang on.
turtle,
Go again. Go.
okay, if you see a turtle,
I'm sorry. As soon as I say go, you're starting to talk. Hang on one second. Look at the turtle. Go.
If you see a turtle, just come up nice and slow and take a couple pictures straight overhead. There. And if possible, I try to get one on the side. And there's your Shelfie. And so these pictures will be submitted to the database, and that's where the artificial intelligence will start looking at the pictures, the pattern on the shell, and compare it to the other ones in the database. So that's how we can be a good community scientist.
Awesome. That was great.
That was so great.
Let her go. Come back over this way and take some more.
There you go.
Keep taking. Okay, grab her. She's already taken off. And let her go. We're good. Okay. grab him. Okay. Could you have him walk out of... Okay, go. Okay. Okay. See if you can turn him around, please. If not, we got something. Go over this side. Go. Let's pull her back in. All right, do your thing. Oops. I'm gonna have to get her. She's moving.
I like that.
That's good. I'd like to let her go. You can move over. Thank you.